Hello, this is Todd Shank from Premier FPL. Today I'm going to be looking ahead at the Gameweek 17 fixtures here, giving out my FPL tips for this coming weekend. As always, I do like to start out with a plug for my fixtures difficulty ranking page here. Going to try to take a look at that later on today if I get a chance. Try to do a little bit of updating, at least get it updated through the new year. Taking a look ahead at game week 17 through 21 most likely. So that'll have to wait until later on this afternoon when I get home from work. Do apologize for missing out last week. Had a move a couple weeks ago, so I've been trying to get everything in order, basically get everything back on track here at the house. So anyway, I'm going to try to keep this one brief and take a look here, just for at least for this weekend, some of the possible fixtures to take a look at. So I noticed one thing here with my difficulty ranking is the right here, the Game Week 17 Fulham and West Ham being the top two here. The interesting one with this is I do still think that is accurate. West Ham do give up goals. Fulham do give up goals. So this one could be a very interesting match, at least as far as attacking potential goes for both teams, really. Next up behind them is this Tottenham versus Burnley match here. I think Tottenham is a great chance here. The only issue is that they did have that really tough Champions League match on Tuesday. I guess it remains to be seen how much that's really going to affect them this weekend. Yeah, like I said, we'll see how it goes. Couple others to target: Arsenal versus Southampton. Southampton have been poor, to say the least, this season. Huddersfield against Newcastle. That should be a very interesting one. Would not be at all surprised to see a 0-0 draw in that match. So could be an interesting one to target as far as, especially Huddersfield defenders. They have a fairly solid defense. So that could be an interesting one. Watford against Cardiff. Not really sure who exactly to target from Watford, aside from Pereira and maybe Success up front, which I'll get into a little bit more. Wolverhampton against Bournemouth. This one should probably actually be a green. Bournemouth have been really leaking goals. Now it could be one that ends up a 3-2, 2-2, something with both teams scoring. So I'm not really counting out Bournemouth in this one either. But Wolverhampton should be able to get some goals, looking at guys like Jota, Jimenez, and Neves. Even I'm going to keep Doherty in my team as well. Crystal Palace against Leicester. This one, Gray, I think, is a good one. Main reason that Crystal Palace is down here at the bottom is because of all of these Gray, and then this Man City match. But they could possibly, I don't know, it'll move up a whole lot, but not a bad team to target, especially if you're looking at some rotations with another team in here. Crystal Palace rotating with someone like maybe with Huddersfield kind of flip-flopping back and forth. Crystal Palace against Leicester, then Huddersfield against Southampton, then Crystal Palace against Cardiff, Huddersfield against Fulham. So might be something worthwhile to look at. All right, moving on. So last week did not do well. As you can see, my game week rank was 3.9 million. Not great at all. I ended up using my wild card mostly because I had, I think, 5 or 6 players that were not likely to play. I ended up keeping Wilson in my team, and he didn't play, so he was one of them. I think Mane was one. Trying to think back to, actually could take a look at my game week 15. So yeah, I had Duffy that was out, Martial who was going to be out, Arnautovic, Wilson, Mane was listed as being doubtful, I think even at the time. So Barkley wasn't really doing anything for me. So right there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players I really needed to get rid of. So that was the main reason I used my wild card. I really wish I had it for this week, but be that as it may, did do my wild card. I really went back and forth on whether I wanted to keep Sterling in my team or go with Salah. I ended up keeping Sterling. Wasn't the greatest pick for that week, but the main thing that I was looking at was setting myself up for the upcoming weeks. So that's kind of where I went with my wild card. I was just looking ahead to the future with it. Ended up leaving Patricio on the bench in favor of Fabianski. So Fabianski didn't do so great. Really thought that they would do better against Crystal Palace, but ended up allowing the 2 goals, which is why I say that West Ham is a pretty decent one if you're looking for other teams playing against them getting attacking points. Yeah, I think that about covers it for my team. Was really disappointed that Kane. Well, I mean, not that it would have mattered. I would have had Wan-Bissaka come in, but yeah, my captain, vice captain didn't work out well. I went with Lacazette over Aubameyang mostly because of being able to bring in Sane and Sterling in my midfield along with Kane. I felt like having those 3. It left me a little bit more room to bring in Lacazette instead of Aubameyang. Could possibly make some changes there. I also thought that Lacazette would do better against Huddersfield, having scored the goal and gotten an assist in the last 2 previous matches. All right, so moving ahead. The thing that I was looking at for this week is the ICT index. It's an interesting way to look at some of these players to see where they're ranking. So the ICT index takes a look at influence, creativity, and threat. And as most of you know, the Fantasy Premier League uses the Opta statistics, and with that, they do have a lot at their disposal. So the influence is basically based on how much a player is influencing the game, based on where they are on the pitch, what they're doing, basically how they're interacting on the pitch in terms of being an influence in the game. Creativity has to do with their passing, crossing, as well as where they are on the pitch. So it seems to be a pretty good. These would be basically your underlying statistics, taking a look at what these players are doing during matches that is influencing, creating, being a threat on goal. So the threat, the last one being how threatening are they in terms of being able to score goals. As you can see, Salah is here at the top of the threat index. That doesn't really surprise me or probably anybody at this point. I would say that I am surprised at just how far ahead he is. It would be interesting to see where he was at before last week. Mainly because if you look here, his influence in last week's match was 107 compared to any other week. That is more than double. Just about everything except for this one match. I think that's against Cardiff, where he had the 2 assists and a goal. So it might be a little bit skewed because of this last match. 83 is again on the higher end for him. I mean, he's had some even higher as far as threat goes, and even the creativity is a little bit middling for him. So yeah, that last match I think is what really pushed him up here. I'd be very interested to see where he was last week as far as this goes. I didn't really look at this too much in the past, but thought that this might be an interesting way to kind of check some of the underlying statistics quickly. Especially now, I don't have as much time to take a look at all of the statistics using like Who Scored or some of the other sites out there that take a look at all of these underlying statistics. So this could be a good way to take a look and see what these players are doing. As far as influence goes, Hazard is up here at the top. Mainly, he has eight assists this season, which is top. That's a great way to really be influential. Interestingly, Hart here is up third for influence. So, interesting thing to think about for some of these goalkeepers is how they're influencing the match and where that would come in. One of the things with Fabianski, the primary reason that I'm keeping him is his ability to make saves. Even against some of these tough matches, he can still pick up points because of his ability to get saves. And then if we look at the threat index here, again, Salah at the top, Aguero, Kane up here. And these are some of these underlying statistics, seeing where they're getting shots. Yeah, so that's kind of a quick breakdown of how some of the things that I am taking a look at for this week. The other one is the bonus point system. As you can see here, Alonso, Azpilicueta, Robertson, Van Dijk. Defenders do very well with the bonus point system because of this is really where they get a lot of their points because of making tackles, interceptions, those sorts of things. Fraser, Sterling, Aubameyang up here. Nice to see them in there. So the other one that I'm looking at here is the form. It's another good way to look and see which players are performing well most recently. I would say this is a great one to pair with looking at fixtures, looking at upcoming fixtures to see if there's a possibility of them dropping off, or if part of their form is that they just faced a string of lower tier teams there. All right, so the last place that I want to end up here is thinking ahead for this week and then the coming weeks, and where to go with, at least where I'm going to go with my team and some of the recommendations. Now, one of the things is thinking about some of these top players. So let's go here to the total score here. So at the top, we do have Salah, Sterling, Hazard. They're basically out ahead of most other players in the game. Kane is down here pretty far, and I'm a little bit concerned about him for this weekend because of their midweek Champions League match and having only come on as a sub against Leicester City. We'll see how they end up bookending that Champions League match. Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to move him out of my team, just like I don't think I'm going to move Salah into my team for this week because of them playing United for this weekend. Not saying, so I would say if you do have Salah in your team, you definitely want to keep him. I would not be at all surprised if he scores a goal. I also wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't score but is able to be such an influence in the match that it allows somebody else to score. I just have a hard time seeing United come out in that match anyway. So definitely think there are going to be goals. I'm going to keep Roberts in my team. I don't see it being very likely that United are going to score either. So let's see. Thinking about some of the players to target here. If we go back to, I'm going to go back to the ICT index here. Now the issue with Wilson, I would say to target him, but the issue is that he is currently at 75% chance of playing. Let me go back here. Playing against Wolves, it's one of those matches. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in off the bench, but maybe not start. So a couple players, middle of the road players here, Fraser and Felipe Anderson. I think Felipe Anderson is a great one to look at. Jimenez, not a bad forward. The only problem is at 6.1, I don't like the 6.7 and 6.1, these guys that are kind of in the middle here when you have Wilson, who has been producing as far as goals go. Already 8 goals this season, 8 assists. If they can get him back and healthy, I think he is a better pick. But again, at 6.9, he's a little bit high. If you have him, keep him. If you don't have him, you might want to hold off. Richarlison is a good one. I have in my team. I'm planning to keep him there. Doherty, same thing with him. Digne. All right, so going back to my team here, the thing that I'm thinking about setting up is looking to move for Aubameyang. Now, to do that, I think I would most likely have to drop Wilson for what I was looking at is for Isaac's success. And then, so that would be my one free transfer this week, which would allow me to then move Aubameyang in for Lacazette next week. Yeah, I will probably think about that for the rest of the day and then decide whether I'm going to do that. One of the other alternatives would be to try to make room in midfield for someone like Felipe Anderson, which would also require me to. I could do it by dropping Sane for Felipe Anderson. I don't know that I really want to drop Richarlison. Not great fixture this weekend, or really even next weekend, but then coming up here through the end of December and all of January, good portion of February, I really like Everton's matches in here, so I'm planning to hold on to Richarlison and Digne. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that might be a good one to. I would have the funds that I could actually move out Richarlison for Felipe Anderson, and then look at bringing Richarlison back in here for this Burnley match. Definitely want to have him for Burnley. Burnley have been really poor this season as far as keeping teams out. So I think that's a great option there. That would also allow me to keep Wilson. Would mean that I really wouldn't be able to get Lacazette or Aubameyang in anytime soon. But again, just something that I'm considering. As far as captains go for this weekend, that's going to be a really tough one. I think Aubameyang is actually a really great captain pick for this weekend. If you look, let me see if I can find Arsenal. Arsenal playing Southampton. Great pick there. Chelsea playing Brighton, so that might be a good one. Good week for Hazard. Good week for him to get some points in there. Yeah, I think the other one is Kane. The issue with Kane is whether he's going to play or not. For now, I think I'm going to keep. I think I'm actually going to keep my captain, vice captain the way it is. Sterling against Everton could be an excellent one, but again, also wondering about the rotation risk there. Could do Sane. He seems to be playing more frequently. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know your thoughts. Do you have a better captain pick out there? Who would you say is your number one targeted transfer player for this week? So leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And yeah, would appreciate getting the subscriptions to the channel. That really helps out, pushes other people to come. The more subscriptions that I get, the more that my channel's put out there. So would really appreciate having that. Anyway, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, and otherwise wish you good luck and have fun.